なぜ泣くんだ。
全然わからない。でも、あなたに会えてよかったです。
それは光栄だ。
Unnamed Memory, Unnamed Memory. So Unnamed Memory continues to be one of those anime that I touted as having really high and really great potential, and it was just one of those that just didn't and hasn't met up to it. This week's episode, we got attacked. So Oscar's kingdom gets attacked by who knows who, and they're in cohesion or collusion with who knows who, and someone snuck in and was a maid, and they pricked him with like this uncurable poison. And because he was pricked with this uncurable poison, it started spreading extremely fast, and apparently this poison has never been cured ever. But out of love and everything else, our girl, is going to find the cure for him through her own body, through her own internal magical power and everything else. So she basically sacrifices herself in a way, and kind of like through transference, basically takes on the poison and then gives him a little bit of her power, or a large portion of her power. And essentially that's how Oscar gets cured of this poison. But that leaves her in really high and dire straits, and she ends up like almost dying on the brink of death from this poison. And somehow a few days later, she wakes up and she is totally fine and totally back and healthy. So through all these big moments, I have no problem, okay, with this show exploring these different nuances, these different storylines and stuff. My big problem with the show is, like, first off, we don't need that. We just need the story between a prince who's trying to find his way, who fell in love with a witch who has been lost for hundreds of years, and she's falling in love for the first time. That's all we needed. We don't need these bigger storylines, because when they try and explore these bigger storylines, they fumble the ball so hard. So, like, for him, first off, who attacked? Second off, who was the girl with the green hair? She is doing this in for Lalakala, or I don't even know what the hell the name is, but she's doing it for somebody. Okay, who is that person? She pricked the prince, but why? To get back at Tanasha? Like, what's the actual reason behind her doing that? Like, what's the big thing? And what's the big, reason behind that? Okay. Tanasha says, okay, she's going to give herself to the prince. She's going to use her own body and all this other stuff. Okay. We saw the other witch prick her, and then she like tied herself in, and she was apparently chanting the whole time and on the brink. Okay, well, where was all of that scene? Like, it wasn't that quick. And then Oscar recovered fast. Okay, so how did that all happen? They just kind of skipped. They just went, don't worry about it. And then they skipped. And then we saw Tanasha on the brink of death, and then Oscar goes and hugs her. But then it's like, okay, well, how did he go do something? Did he go bring something back? Did the other witch do something? Like, well, how does she recover? They just went, skip, don't worry about it. She's fine now. It's like, okay, either do it right or don't do it at all, So that's the big problem I have, is they just keep going, skip, yeah, don't worry about it. And then Oscar's memory got wiped this episode, but he suddenly remembers, and he's like, Tanasha. And then it's like, okay, well, how did he get all his memories back? Did they go, oh, he remembers a little bit, so we're just gonna, the other witch is like, oh, I'm gonna restore his memories? They just go, skip, don't worry about it, he remembers now. It's like, stop doing that. It's like, I get that they want to be more than just the surface story, but it's like, well, all we need is that surface story of a really cool prince and Oscar, now king or whatever, who fell in love with this witch who had this big wall, and he broke through the wall. Now, by the end of the episode, we did get her, I guess, finally realizing that she's in love, even though she was willing to sacrifice her whole life for him twice. She's been willing to die now in the last 3 episodes twice. But I guess now she barely realized, oh, I am in love with Oscar, and that's like baffling for her. And the whole time Oscar's like, ha ha ha, you are. I knew it the whole time. It's like, okay, weirdo. But it's like, okay. So I guess we kind of got there at the end of the episode, but this the road that we got there was just bumpy and it was just not fun. So anyways, Unnamed Memory, it's a mess. But the potential is really high. Like the potential for this to be really good is really high. But just the traveling to get there has been rough. So anyways, those are my thoughts on Unnamed Memory. Let me know yours in the comments down below. And my friends, I'll see you guys next week as we turn out the last 3 episodes of the season. All right. Peace out.